This video is going to focus in on the 4 basic essentials yarns at Sanjo Silk. When we think of basics in yarn, we think of a smooth, even, untextured 2-ply yarn. 2-ply construction is when 2 ends are twisted together, and that gives you a really smooth, balanced, even yarn. Singles yarns tend to twist on themselves like this. This is called activity. This would be referred to as an active yarn. Plied yarns don't. You can see it's hanging absolutely straight down. So that is one of the differences between a plied yarn and a single. At Sanjo, we have 4 basic 2-ply yarns in our essentials group. A 30/2, a 20/2, a 12/2, and an 8/2. We'll cover what the numbers mean in another video, but you can take our word for it that the higher the number, the finer the yarn. Let's look at the 4 of these basic yarns together to compare them. When they're side by side, you can see the difference in thickness between them, and the numbers tell us how the weights compare to each other. The 12/2 is a bit more than twice the thickness of the 30/2. The 8/2 is a bit more than twice the thickness of the 20/2. We also have a really fine one, 60/2, and you can see it compared to the 8/2. It's very fine indeed. So when you look at those numbers, 12 is a little less than half of 30, so you know that the 12 is going to be a little more than twice the thickness of the 30. So what do these yarns do well? The 30/2, which is Sanjo's number 10-073, is a magnificent weaving yarn, tied for first place as our most popular yarn. It is the yarn most often used in the warps of the pieces at the Silk Weaving Studio. It makes a fine, strong, drapey cloth. Because of its strength, breakage is a rare occurrence in the warp, even though it's very fine, and it takes color so beautifully. The 20/2, Sanjo's 10-007, is in the other first place position for most popular yarn. It's about 50% thicker than the 30/2 and is slightly less tightly twisted, giving it a slightly softer hand. This is a real workhorse yarn. It makes a beautiful medium weight cloth with lots of drape and luster, and is rich and beautiful in dyed colors. The real story here is how beautiful it is in colors. It's so easy to put together a great color story for your project. The 12/2, our 10-017, is thicker again than the 20/2. If you've never woven with silk and are keen to give it a try, 12/2 can be a good first choice. It's just a bit thicker, a little easier to see and work with, and it makes a slightly heavier, more substantial cloth. The 12/2 is also a wonderful knitting yarn. For intricate lace work, such as wedding shawls, the luster of this yarn makes it a luxurious choice. And it's also beautiful in color. And last, the thickest of our 4 basics, the 8/2, Sanjo's 10-005. This yarn is approximately 4 times the thickness of the 30/2. Because of its relative thickness, it has a defined, ropey look that has so much character. It's a great weaving yarn and especially lovely knitting yarn. When you want a cloth that has some heaviness and definition, consider this magnificent yarn. And of course, it's fabulous in color. By showing you the 4 basics side by side, we hope we've unlocked some of the mystery of what makes them different from one another and why you would choose one over the others. Consider this, though, a challenge. Wind a warp of each of these 4 basics, weave them with good balance, and compare them for yourself. You'll learn a lot, and maybe you'll discover a new favorite.